Most people think of Diagon Alley as a backdrop, somewhere Harry picks up his first wand and moves on. They're missing the point entirely. These shops are institutions with centuries of history, built around security systems, wartime rules, and lore that the films barely touched. From the oldest wand shop in existence to the one establishment that helped Voldemort breach Hogwarts itself, today we're breaking down 12 of the most significant establishments in Diagon Alley and explaining what the books actually say about each one. The Leaky Cauldron. Before you can get to Diagon Alley, you have to get past the Leaky Cauldron. Located at number 1 Diagon Alley on Charing Cross Road in London, the pub functions as the gateway between the Muggle world and the wizarding shopping district behind it. To any ordinary Muggle, the Leaky Cauldron simply doesn't exist. The street number before it jumps directly to the number after, as though that section of reality was carefully removed. To any witch or wizard, it appears plain as day, small, dark, slightly shabby, wedged between a bookshop and a record shop. The pub is believed to have been built in the early 1500s. When the International Statute of Secrecy was implemented in 1692, the then Minister for Magic, Ulick Gamp, designated the Leaky Cauldron's landlord as the official gatekeeper of Diagon Alley, giving him the responsibility of admitting witches and wizards through the back courtyard. That arrangement has remained ever since. Inside, the atmosphere is warm and cluttered. Wooden beams, Gothic windows, witches and wizards of all ages nursing butterbeers and discussing the events of the day. The pub also offers rooms for overnight stays, which Harry makes use of during the summer of his 3rd year. The real function of the Leaky Cauldron, though, is the small walled courtyard out back. There is a specific sequence that must be followed. Tap 3 bricks up from the bin, 2 across with a wand. When the correct bricks are struck in the correct order, the wall shutters and rearranges itself into a wide archway. On the other side is Diagon Alley, Gringotts Wizarding Bank. Gringotts is the only bank in the British wizarding world, and has been since it was founded in 1474 by a goblin of the same name. The building is impossible to miss. A white marble edifice near the junction of Diagon Alley and Nocturne Alley, with polished bronze doors, a white stone staircase, and goblin guards in scarlet and gold uniforms. Engraved on the silver inner doors is a warning that the bank takes seriously, and which prospective thieves should take even more seriously. The main hall is a study in controlled grandeur. Hundreds of goblins work behind long counters, weighing coins, writing in ledgers, and examining gemstones. 4 enormous chandeliers, totaling 62,000 crystals, cast cold light over the entire floor. The goblins who run the bank possess their own form of magic, distinct from wizard magic. They are renowned for their metallurgical skills, which is why they manufacture wizarding currency: bronze canutes, silver sickles, and gold galleons. The relationship between goblins and wizards is historically complicated. Many wizards have long treated goblins as subordinates, and the goblins have never pretended to forget it. In 1865, the Ministry of Magic ceded complete control of Gringotts to goblin management. The vaults beneath the bank are the centerpiece of its reputation. Stone corridors lit by flaming torches descend miles below London, serviced by goblin-operated carts that move at speeds that disorient passengers and prevent them from memorizing the route. Lower security vaults near the surface use standard keys. The highest security vaults, including the Lestrange Vault where a Horcrux was hidden, require a goblin's touch to open. Any unauthorized person who attempts to open the door is swallowed by it and sealed inside. The interval at which goblins check for trapped intruders is, as Griphook noted dryly, something best not inquired about. 2 additional security measures operate in the deeper levels: the Thieves' Downfall, a magical waterfall that strips away all enchantments, polyjuice disguises, and disillusionment charms from anything passing through it, and, in the deepest passages, chained dragons conditioned by pain to respond to specific goblin instruments. The Gemino and Flagrante curses are applied to the most valuable vaults, meaning anything a thief touches will multiply rapidly and become hot enough to cause burns. Gringotts has been successfully breached twice in recorded history. The first time, in 1991, Quirrell, acting under Voldemort's direction, attempted to steal the Philosopher's Stone from Vault 713. Dumbledore had already emptied it hours earlier. The second, in May 1998, succeeded. Harry Potter, Hermione Granger, and Ron Weasley broke into the Lestrange Vault, retrieved a Horcrux, and escaped by releasing the chained dragon through the roof. Ollivanders. Ollivanders has been making wands since 382 BC. That is not a misprint. The shop has been in operation for over 2,400 years, which, if the theory that it may predate Gringotts is correct, makes it potentially the oldest establishment in Diagon Alley. The shopfront gives nothing away. A single wand resting on a faded purple cushion in a dusty window. There is no advertising. There's no need for it. Every British witch or wizard buys their wand here. It is a tradition that spans millennia. The interior is disorienting in its apparent modesty. The shop is small and almost empty, except for a single chair in the corner and thousands of narrow wand boxes stacked from floor to ceiling on every wall, each containing a unique wand waiting for the right owner. The core principle of Ollivanders is precise. The wand chooses the wizard, not the other way around. Garrick Ollivander, the owner during Harry's time, inherited centuries of accumulated wand lore. Every wand is a combination of specific wood, oak for strength, willow for healing, holly for protection, among many others, and a magical core, phoenix feather, unicorn hair, or dragon heartstring being the most common. The fitting process involves trying wand after wand until one produces a reaction, warmth, sparks from the tip, a sense of recognition. Harry's wand was holly and phoenix feather, 11 inches, pliable. What made it unusual was the provenance of its core. The feather came from Fawkes, Dumbledore's phoenix, who had given only 2 feathers. The other was the core of Tom Riddle's wand. When Voldemort attempted to kill Harry with his wand in the graveyard during the Triwizard Tournament, the brother wands could not properly duel, causing Priori Incantatem. During the Second Wizarding War, Ollivander was kidnapped by Death Eaters and held at Malfoy Manor, tortured for information about why his wands were failing Voldemort. He was rescued during the escape from the manor, and returned to the shop after the war to continue the tradition. Weasley's Wizard Wheezes. Weasley's Wizard Wheezes is the product of Fred and George Weasley leaving Hogwarts in spectacular fashion, mounting broomsticks in front of the entire school, setting off magical fireworks, and flying out while Dolores Umbridge stood furious in their wake. They used the Triwizard Tournament prize money Harry secretly gave them to fund it, and what they built from that starting point is difficult to overstate as a business achievement. In a Diagon Alley that was growing visibly grimmer during Voldemort's return, shops closing, windows boarding up, wanted posters replacing displays, Weasley's Wizard Wheezes announced itself like a fireworks display. The facade blazed with color. Animated mannequins filled the windows. Explosions of light and sound poured into the street. Inside, floor-to-ceiling shelves held the most eclectic and inventive product range in the wizarding world. Extendable ears that transmit conversations from a distance. Puking pastilles that induce convincing vomiting on demand. Portable swamps that produce an instant boggy marshland wherever opened. Shield hats that deflect minor jinxes. Spell-checking quills, pygmy puffs, love potions, and a full range of fireworks including dragons, exploding stars, and rockets that actively pursued targets. Not everything in the shop was designed for fun. The twins' defensive product line, shield hats, shield cloaks, shield gloves, became so practically effective during the war that the Ministry of Magic placed bulk orders. 2 students who were largely dismissed at school as troublemakers turned out to be genuine magical inventors and sharp entrepreneurs. Fred was killed during the Battle of Hogwarts. George continued the shop after the war in his brother's memory. Madame Malkin's Robes for All Occasions. Madame Malkin's is where every Hogwarts student eventually ends up, buying school robes, dress robes, traveling cloaks, and any other item in the wizarding wardrobe. The shop is spacious and efficiently run, with enchanted tape measures that take measurements automatically, magical mirrors that rotate to show all angles, and mannequins in the latest uniforms arranged throughout the floor. Madame Malkin herself is a squat, smiling witch who treats every customer with identical curiosity, regardless of blood status or family wealth. The shop holds a notable place in Harry's personal history. It was at Madame Malkin's, while being fitted for a school uniform, that Harry first encountered Draco Malfoy, before either of them had started at Hogwarts. The interaction was not warm. Malfoy made clear his opinions on Muggleborns, and the relative importance of certain wizarding families. Harry left with a first impression that turned out to be entirely accurate. Flourish and Blotts. Flourish and Blotts is the principal bookshop of the British wizarding world, and the source of every Hogwarts textbook for generations of students. The shop is architecturally optimistic. Books are stacked in towers that should, by all physical logic, collapse. Shelves are packed so tightly that volumes are inserted horizontally into gaps between other volumes, and magical escalators lead up to increasingly specialized sections on the upper floors. At ground level, the stock is standard curriculum material. The standard book of spells, a history of magic, magical theory. As you ascend, the books become more arcane and significantly more dangerous. The shop carries books that actively resist being opened. The Monster Book of Monsters, required for care of magical creatures under Hagrid, attacks anyone who attempts to open it without first stroking its spine. The Invisible Book of Invisibility is effectively impossible to locate. Various volumes on advanced curses, animagi, and alchemy occupy the higher shelves, and books on dark subjects are kept in more restricted sections. In the summer of 1992, the shop was the scene of a physical altercation between Arthur Weasley and Lucius Malfoy. The fight ended with Arthur bloodied, Lucius withdrawing in fury, and, unknown to anyone at the time, Tom Riddle's diary slipped into Ginny Weasley's cauldron by Lucius as he left. The chain of events that followed opened the Chamber of Secrets. Florian Fortescue's Ice Cream Parlor. Florian Fortescue's Ice Cream Parlor occupies an unpretentious spot in Diagon Alley, but it plays a memorable role in Harry's story. In the summer before his third year, Harry spent 15 days at the Leaky Cauldron after fleeing Privet Drive, and spent most of his afternoons at the parlor. Fortescue served ice cream in flavors that defied conventional logic. Chocolate with chopped raspberry and nuts, butterbeer flavor, strawberry with peanut butter, and talked with his customers freely. During those weeks, Fortescue helped Harry work through his history of magic summer homework, supplying detailed knowledge of medieval witch burnings entirely of his own accord, while delivering free ice cream. He was generous, knowledgeable, and apparently content, which makes what happened next to him particularly grim. In Harry's 6th year, the parlor was found destroyed, door forced, windows shattered, contents in disarray. Fortescue had been dragged from his own shop and did not return. He was almost certainly killed by Death Eaters or Voldemort's followers. The parlor was one of the dozens of Diagon Alley businesses that suffered during the Second Wizarding War. Aelop's Owl Emporium. Aelop's Owl Emporium sells owls. Tawny, Screech, Barn, Snowy, and several other breeds, alongside the full range of equipment needed to keep them. Specialist food, ornate cages, treatments for owl ailments, and training services. The significance of the shop to the wider series is straightforward. It is where Hagrid purchased Hedwig as an 11th birthday gift for Harry. Hedwig was a snowy owl, named from a history of magic, and she served as Harry's primary means of communication for years. She was killed during the Battle of the Seven Potters by a Death Eater's curse. Owls are the primary postal system of the British wizarding world. A well-trained owl can locate any person, regardless of where they are or how thoroughly they are hidden, a capability that no Muggle technology has managed to replicate and that has no satisfying magical explanation beyond the fact that it works. The Apothecary. The Apothecary, its formal name never given in the books, is the standard source for potions ingredients used by Hogwarts students. The shop windows are, to the uninitiated, alarming. Barrels of bat spleens, jars of eel eyes, bottles of frog tongues, bags of powdered billywig stings, fat leeches floating in greenish liquid, dried dragon's blood in red crystals, manticore claws preserved in salt. Over time, these become more routine. By the end of a Hogwarts education, the contents of the apothecary represent years of familiar classroom work. The shop stocks both standard curriculum ingredients and specialist materials for more advanced brewing. The smell, as noted by Harry on his first visit, is a powerful combination of something rotting and something burning, which is entirely characteristic of the potions discipline in general. Quality Quidditch Supplies. Quality Quidditch Supplies is the equipment shop of record for the Wizarding World's most popular sport, and its window is used throughout the series as a barometer for broomstick technology. In 1991, the display featured the Nimbus 2000, then the fastest racing broom available. In 1992, it was replaced by the Nimbus 2001, which Lucius Malfoy purchased for the entire Slytherin Quidditch team to secure his son a place as Seeker. The Firebolt, the fastest and most expensive broom ever manufactured, later given to Harry by Sirius Black, would have been displayed here during its release. Beyond broomsticks, the shop stocks full team uniforms, protective gear, training equipment, and Quidditch balls. Bludgers in the window are held in place by chains and visibly strain against them. The golden snitch is kept under a glass dome, its silver wings flickering. The shop is, for any serious Quidditch follower, extremely difficult to walk past quickly. Borgin and Burke's Nocturne Alley. Nocturne Alley branches off from the main street near Gringotts. Where Diagon Alley is bright, cobbled, and welcoming, Nocturne Alley is narrow, shadowed, and visibly unpleasant. dark even in daylight, lined with establishments selling objects the Ministry would prefer not to exist. The most prominent of these is Borgin and Burke's. Borgin and Burke's specializes in objects associated with the dark arts. The window displays are instructive. A severed head resting on a cushion, blood-stained masks on hooks, human skulls arranged in patterns. The stock inside runs to cursed objects, dark artifacts, and items that have no legal use. It is, without ceremony, where Death Eaters shop. Harry Potter accidentally ended up inside the shop in the summer of 1992, having mispronounced his flu destination. Concealed in a cabinet, he watched Lucius Malfoy attempt to offload compromising items before a Ministry raid on his home. The shop's most consequential role in the series comes in Harry's 6th year. Draco Malfoy, tasked by Voldemort with killing Dumbledore, visited Borgin and Burke's to examine and ultimately use a vanishing cabinet, one of a matched pair, the other being inside Hogwarts in the Room of Hidden Things. By repairing the Hogwarts cabinet, Draco created a passage directly from the shop into the castle, bypassing every protective enchantment on the building. Death Eaters used this passage to invade Hogwarts. It was the first successful physical breach of Hogwarts' defenses. The Magical Menagerie and other shops. The Magical Menagerie is the pet shop of Diagon Alley, selling a wider range of magical creatures than Ilops. It is where Hermione purchased Crookshanks, described as the most monstrous-looking cat she had ever seen, half Kneasel, and consequently possessed of supernatural intelligence and perceptiveness. Crookshanks immediately recognized Peter Pettigrew's Animagus form and spent most of Harry's 3rd year attempting to expose him, which everyone around him interpreted as inexplicable bad behavior rather than accurate threat assessment. Beyond the major shops, Diagon Alley contains dozens of smaller establishments that appear throughout the series. There is a second-hand cauldron shop where families on tighter budgets can buy serviceable equipment at lower cost, the Weasleys' preferred supplier. There is an unnamed apothecary branch. The alley also contains shops only briefly referenced. Obscurus Books, which publishes magical texts. Second-hand booksellers. Various robe makers and equipment suppliers. The full geography of the street is deliberately unmapped. It curves and branches, some side alleys leading to further shops, others ending in dead ends. Buildings that appear to have 1 floor on the outside reveal 5 floors on the inside. It is a street that was built and maintained by magic, and it does not follow the architectural logic of streets that were not. If you made it this far, you already know how seriously the books take the details. So you'll want to see what I found in the new HBO trailer, because they've already made some choices that don't quite add up. That video is up now.